And now, the general weather around Alaska.
Welcome, everyone. I'm National Weather Service meteorologist Peter Chan. This is Alaska Weather, and I'm coming to you from the National Weather Service in Alaska region on this Tuesday, April 15th, 2025. A lot to talk about. We have a springtime storm, a strong area of low pressure lifting out of the North Pacific, crossing the Alaska Peninsula, and then it's going to move up into the Yukon-Kuskokwim deltas as we go through the day, Wednesday into Thursday. And there are areas of heavier rainfall and snow along with strong winds spreading north and northeastward across a good portion of the state. I'll show you what areas are going to be impacted most. We also have right now underway, as of this Tuesday later afternoon, a strong G3 geomagnetic storm is developing, already G2 levels, and that means visible aurora if you have clear skies at your location for tonight. And we expect this active weather pattern to continue along the Gulf into the Panhandle through the end of the month. This is going to keep temperatures cooler than normal across the state, as well as increase the chances of precipitation running a bit above normal compared to the fact that we are now what is usually the driest time of the year. So Dutch Harbor, Ballyhoo, blizzard conditions just getting plastered with heavy wet snow and temperature just hovering there 32, 33 degrees. Winds gusting over 50 miles an hour. Togiak there along the west end of the Kuskokwim Delta. Snow, wind increasing. It's just starting to move up into there. You're going to get blasted with at least 3 to 7, 8 inches of snow tonight into Wednesday morning. Temperatures sitting at 34. It's going to be a wet snow. Anchorage, partly sunny this Tuesday afternoon, 47 degrees, looking east of Merrill Field. Those are the Chugach Mountains. The winds are going to be building there later tonight and in the pre-dawn hours of Wednesday, continuing into late Wednesday night. High wind warnings along the Chugach here, especially upper hillside Anchorage and upper hillside Eagle River. Winds could gust as high as 85, near 90 miles an hour in a few of the normally windy spots. Isabel Pass going to get blasted with winds tomorrow. We have mostly sunny skies there, 34 this afternoon, but a high wind warning across the Alaska range for the passes and ridge lines. Winds could gust there 80 miles per hour. So starting out, here's the hazardous weather winter storm warning for the eastern Aleutians, Nikolsky, Dutch Harbor on Alaska. This area could pick up as much as 8 to 20 inches of heavy wet snow, along with north winds gusting as high as 55 to 65 miles an hour. The area around Cold Bay Falls Pass already had a batch of heavier wet snow, but the low is going to be passing up right through this region, and the air is warm enough that precipitation will be falling now as rain there. But as that moisture works its way north, it encounters the colder air initially sitting in this region, and we expect the area along the Kuskokwim coast there, the Delta, along with Bethel and Nunavik Island, could pick up a burst of heavier snowfall tonight into Wednesday morning, along with winds gusting as high as 35, 40 miles an hour. Other areas as you push inland of Dillingham, King Salmon in the southwest interior and also up here in the lower Yukon, it's going to be a mess. It's just rain. First, some wet snow mixing with rain, so it'll be kind of dancing in between that here during the day tomorrow and into early Thursday. Meanwhile, we have high wind warnings for Anchorage, upper hillside, and upper Eagle River. These strong east-southeast winds ahead of this front as it pushes north will really be ripping here during the day, Wednesday into Wednesday evening. Starting the high wind warning there starts for 4 a.m. this Wednesday morning, and again, winds could gust as high as 80 to near 90 miles an hour, especially in those locations like Bear Valley, Glen Alps, that are normally subject to those high winds. Also the Alaska range. Areas of Denali Park, Healy on over toward Isabel Pass could see winds gust as high as 80 miles an hour through some of the passes and gaps, as well as along the ridge lines. And if that's not enough, as that moisture lifts north, you're going to have snow. Galena up toward Ambler, these areas of the Seward Peninsula picking up measurable wet snow, and then the moisture just continues northward so that by the time it hits the North Slope and Arctic coast early Thursday morning, we have blizzard conditions from Point Hope all the way through Utqiagvik to Kaktovik, Demarcation Bay, and that will be early Thursday morning through later Friday evening. And along this area, not a ton of snow, 1-3 inches, but you're going to have winds gusting upwards of 45 to 55 miles an hour. It's, as that moisture encounters the cold northeast to east polar easterlies, that's what's going to keep those winds going there along the coast and creating those blizzard conditions. So definitely tomorrow there along the Arctic coast, take care of your preparations, get things done while it's still safe and relatively good weather, because conditions will be rapidly deteriorating in the pre-dawn hours of Thursday morning. Also, avalanche danger is considerable here across the eastern Kenai, including Turnagain Pass, Summit Lake, Moose Pass. These areas are going to be picking up, at least at sea level and a bit higher up, heavy rainfall, very heavy rainfall along the eastern Kenai, this area, Prince William Sound. But up in the mountains, as you get up a few thousand feet higher, it's going to be a heavy, wet snow. That'll tend to increase with the strong winds coming in, is really going to increase the avalanche danger as we head into tomorrow. So be extra cautious. Check this Alaska Avalanche Information Center website to see what the latest conditions are. Now, here on the satellite imagery, it clearly shows the system coming together. Here is the center of surface low pressure here that'll be crossing the lower end of the Alaska Peninsula tonight. Here's a surge of moisture out ahead of it, the front wrapping around it like this. That's going to expand north and northeastward. We have an atmospheric river feeding into this along the front. So that's going to be aimed at the eastern Kenai and Prince William Sound as we go through later tonight and especially during the day tomorrow. And this is also going to force moisture all the way across the interior up toward the Arctic coast by the time we get into Thursday morning. So here's the weather map, surface weather map. Late tonight, early on Wednesday morning, we have the low down near 975 millibars. It's not an especially deep low, but it's strong for this time of year, and it has a lot of moisture with it. The atmospheric river component here ahead of this cold front and the warm front combo. And this is all riding north initially. On the backside of this system, you have the snow moving into the YK deltas that'll accumulate along with gusty winds. On the backside, you have just a mess there in the eastern Aleutians with just, winds gusting, storm force north wind gusts there, along with heavy snow, 8 to 20 inches potentially there. And then out ahead of it, increasing rains will be butting up here against the coastline of the Kenai and Prince William Sound as we go through the day Wednesday. That's what's also going to cause the strong winds there, Anchorage, Upper Hillside, and Upper Eagle River. And as that pressure gradient tightens and system lifts northward, that's going to increase the winds through the Alaska Range. We have a central pressure outside of Bristol Bay, 980 by Wednesday morning. Backside of the low, we have some moderate to locally heavier snow, the Yukon, lower Yukon Delta into Nunavik Island as well. And by the time we get into Thursday, the main low is here and weakening, so it's come up through the YK deltas. We have a secondary low that's formed along the front here off the Kenai in the northwestern Gulf, and another weak secondary low coming up along the just southwest there of Kodiak Island. So it's kind of a complex system, but the original low is here. Here's the occluded front, kind of a little bit of a kink as it runs up into the mountains, and then you have this secondary low developing off the Kenai Peninsula in the western northwest Gulf, and the occluded front working its way eastward. The bulk of the precipitation is taking aim here along the northern Gulf Coast when it comes to the rain. And then by Friday, the system is weakened considerably, energy lifting northward up into northwest Canada, weak lingering low there across the northern Gulf. So that'll be the extent. The worst conditions, I think, Friday will be up here along the Arctic coast, especially there later Thursday night into Friday morning. You're going to have blizzard conditions with brisk easterly, polar easterly winds causing those conditions. And that's it for that particular storm. But it's taken the week to unfold and evolve. And looking at temperatures, we have readings above freezing across the Panhandle and temperatures above freezing tonight in south central as that front increasing clouds. So we're not going to be that cold. As far as seeing the aurora tonight, because the aurora season is diminishing here because of the growing daylight and the nighttime shrinking. So if you have clear skies at your location, somewhere here in the interior or farther north, you should be able to see a pretty good display this evening once it gets dark. But areas, it'll still be down in the single digits, near zero there in areas of the North Slope and Arctic coast. Otherwise, temperatures stay below freezing, YK deltas and over towards St. Paul. Highs, though, Wednesday afternoon, you're going to start to see these southeast winds coming through the Alaska range, 40s to maybe near 50 in the Tanana Valley, as winds will be really gusty there, Delta Junction. Here you have temperatures lower mid-50s, the outer panhandle, because the precipitation is not going to make it there yet. Out to the west, temperatures are moderating, that occluded front pushing into the Bristol Bay, Kuskokwim Bay. So you're going to have a sloppy mix here of wet snow and rain pushing up into the southwest and then eventually west central interiors. Meanwhile, they have temperatures in the 40s here across the Kenai Peninsula. Now, the mountains will get mid and upper elevations getting a sloppy, heavy, wet snow, but at the sea level and along the coast, heavier rainfall, eastern Kenai, Prince William Sound. For Thursday, morning lows in the single digits along the Arctic coast with light snow overspreading the area and winds gusting. So we have blizzard mornings in effect all along the Arctic coast for Thursday morning, and that'll continue into Friday late evening. Temperatures stay above freezing across the panhandle, 40-ish degrees Sitka down to Klawock. Temperatures above freezing across much of south central. And then back to the west, it is a bit colder there, Nunavik Island towards St. Paul. And we find Thursday, as the main original low lifts its way up here through the YK deltas in this region, we find temperatures, you're getting downslope flow coming off the Alaska range with those southeast southerly winds. So temperatures are going to jump into the 50s, Fairbanks, Yukon Flats, the Tanana Valley, Tok, Delta Junction, Eagle, Northway. It can be very mild and windy in those areas. And then we find temperatures even hitting 50 there, Talkeetna. It could be up near 50 briefly, even with an Anchorage. Temperatures lower 50s, southern panhandle, upper 40s as you get up towards Skagway and Haines. Temperatures may recover back up into the upper 30s as the snow will be diminishing across the eastern Aleutians during the day on Thursday. And then as that low begins to fill and weaken, we just have a warmer system than what we've seen here a month ago or even 2 weeks ago. So we see temperatures across much of the mainland moderate back up in the 40s with some 50s, as I said here, as you get into the upper Yukon and Tanana valleys on the other side of the Alaska range. But I quick want to show you this. Temperature outlook 6 to 10 days, April 21st through the 25th, calls for temperatures to average below normal over the eastern mainland, especially along the Alcan border into the Panhandle, maybe a little above normal the Alaska Peninsula out toward the eastern Aleutians. But that doesn't really change a whole lot here through the end of the month. This is April 23rd through the 29th, the 8 to 14 day outlook. And what I was saying is we're not looking for any big spring warm-ups where you have this warm, dominant, stable mid-upper level high that brings dry conditions and warming temperatures. So this is going to further delay river breakup when you have this kind of pattern. Sure, there could be some movement and breaking, early signs of some breakup trying to happen with this next push of milder air that happens through the end of this week up there across the interior. But it's overall, the trend is for temperatures to average a bit below normal, so that'll slow the process. And then precipitation, the 21st through the 26th, the southern half, including the Alaska Peninsula, all along the Gulf into the Panhandle, the places that have seen above normal precipitation, considering spring is normally the driest time of year, that will continue. And then as we work toward the end of the month, the last several days, we're still looking for a potential for precipitation to average above normal, especially along and south of the Yukon River, including all areas along the Alaska Peninsula, Gulf Coast, and into the Panhandle. But those of you under various advisories and warnings, just be safe and certainly heed any of the warning messages and keep an eye on conditions, because we do have quite a bit of active weather that's going to be working northward across the state the next couple of days.